Hey everybody, hopefully y'all are having a good one. I'm out today doing a little bit of somewhat scouting and picking up my camera that's been soaking out here in this bedding area for over a year now. I don't even know if it's here anymore, but it's in such a secluded spot that I doubt anybody has taken it. So man, it's really nice weather today. We kind of had a little cold front come through. It's the end of July, and for southwest Missouri, cold front in the middle of July or at the end of July is kind of, it's a treat. So yeah, I'm making my way back in here. Looks like they did some clearing here. I'm over here by these power lines, and I got these bedding area sections by these power lines. If you've seen me hunt here before, I know there's big deer in here. There's a field, a couple fields over to the north of here, so I'm gonna go scout that a little bit later, but I'm just gonna make my way through here and take you guys along with me. Hopefully you enjoy it. See a lot of these guys around. What's up, buddy? Look at what we got here. No one's taking it. Easy been over a year since I put it up. So I'm in this bottom here. This all used to be water, but since we haven't had much rain this year, there's no water in here. And this is the bottom of the bedding area. It's kind of like a bowl, you know, so you got ridges surrounding us, and this kind of filters out here, but you can see this ground's really used. You got all deer trails coming through here and out that way towards the field where you got corn in there. So my plan is to kind of scout around this area, and really I want to head towards the field because that's where I see most of them bedding. I know they bed in here a little bit sometimes, but I want to check out in over there towards the field. All right, so I picked up my camera. Looks like there's some pretty good deer from that I seen last year show up on it, but man, this ground is just beat. You got a trail going up there, you got a trail going up here, and the bottom of this bowl here is where they're gonna be traveling. They're not gonna be bedding down here, so I'm gonna kind of make my way up this side of this valley, side of this ridge here, and I want to set up a camera because you got two bedding areas separated by a power line, and I know they're going from bedding area to bedding area, especially during season, during rut. You know, bucks can be cruising downwind sides, and I know does bed in here, so I want to set up a camera to where I can catch them transitioning in an opening, and there should be an opening right over there, but I'm gonna make my way. Got an old historical rub here. There's plenty of rubs around here on these trees. Got a trail kind of coming down through here. Really, it's just a whole lot of nothing right now. Yep. Just spooked off some deer. Bedding up here. I knew they'd be bedding at the top of this ridge, kind of more towards the opening of that power line. Sounded pretty heavy. I bet you that was a buck. Probably not ideal to be spooking them out of here, but you can't really get a feel for this place until you scout it, you know. So of course I always have to scout in July when there's cobwebs on every single tree. So here's kind of that opening. The deer just bolted off of here and went over there across the opening. I wonder where he was bedded. I bet you he was bedded right here. It's a nice bed right here. You can see it. Yeah, it's back up against the tree. And the wind right now is kind of coming from the south, but I would assume this is where he was bedded right now. Oh, it's warm. No way. Wow. I'm not kidding y'all. It's like someone just sat here warm. Yeah, so I just spooked him out of his bed. So this is where he was bedded. That's pretty cool to see. I'll keep track of this bed on this wind. I'll keep, you know. That's crazy though. And you got hair in it. Look at all that white hair, stomach hair. And it's not like summer warm. It's warm like I just sat here and got up. It's pretty crazy. It's the first time I experienced that. But that's where he was bedded, and he bolted off across that opening into that bedding area. somewhere in here is where they're crossing. But it's good to know that there's a bed right here. I'm gonna mark it on my map. And I'll know for this exact wind. Yep, the wind's coming like this towards my face. Wind's coming from here. He had his back to the tree. He was looking at this opening in front of him, and he had the wind coming up over his back. Typical hill bedding. The problem is, the hard part is actually hunting in here, because you got all these ridges. You're gonna have thermal rise, thermal drop, and you got swirling winds. So the bed that I just spooked the buck out of was right over there. You can see this beat down trail kind of coming right through here and going out to veering off over there. It's veering off over here, so this tree might be a good tree to get traffic in coming in, because you got that power line opening over there. It's going to be a good place to put a camera up just to see what kind of traffic we're getting from these openings. This beat down trail right here. If I were to bet, there'd probably be a trail down at the bottom there, but if I'm not mistaken, last year when I was scouting out here, one of these trees had a bed around it. Maybe that's downfall. I don't remember. But this is the way he bolted out of here, so you know, this is his access path. A lot of potential beds in here, you know, you can kind of see. I might even set up a camera right on that. Alright, so I got that camera set up right on where those two heavy trails converge into one, and I got it perfectly set up to where deer are coming in, which I know they will be. They're going to be spotted on my cell cam. I just want to see what's coming in and out of here. You got all potential kind of bedding right along these trees right here. But this is the bed right here where I spooked them out of. Cobwebs everywhere. But you got an old rub in the bed. Obviously they're not rubbing yet, but I'm sure that's going to get hit. You got old tine marks right here on this tree. The trail kind of goes out this way. You got all this downfall right here that they're not going to be crossing. There's absolutely no trails going that way. They're all coming from here across the power line opening from that bedding area. And that really is just a whole ridge going across back up to another open area. So it's just a ridge of a tree line. And I know there's a few trails going back and forth in there, but really they're bedding in this section and then on the private across the road over there. And what they're doing is they're coming down and they're feeding in the field in the evenings. Got an old rub right there. Look at this. Fresh scat. I mean, wet. So that was this morning. So that must have been that buck that bedded there. So that's pretty big too. I know it sounds, these cobwebs, man. I know it sounds funny, but big poop, big bucks. Literally. The bigger the animal, the bigger the crap. I did hunt this last year. I walked up through there on a southwest wind, which is predominant for southern Missouri. We always have a west and a southwest wind, south wind. I came in through here and I sat up, I don't remember which tree, but right over there. So this year I got to make note of that bed there. So I got to sit back just a little bit, because I know on this wind he'll be bedded on that bed. He'll be coming up, making his way down towards the field. I got to meet him in the middle. And I got to be close enough to where I can set up, and close enough to where I can get him in shooting light, you know, because he's not making his way into that field until right after dark. So you got another heavy trail coming in here. There's all sorts of trails coming into this. You got the downfall right there, possible bed right there, kind of a little bit of an opening. I don't think so, but right here you can see it's really heavily walked on right here. Of course the ground's really hard. Right there you got kind of a decent sized trail coming in here, but it's all the signs leading towards that field. They just bed in here. Of course, being that it's July, I shouldn't hurt anything in here, because by hunting season everything will clear out by then. What is this? Some sort of anchor for something. Maybe power lines came through here, but that's an anchor bolt of some sort. You see this heavy beat down trail coming in through here. Possible maybe beds watching this opening, but they're all making their way down there towards the field, and that's where I'm going next. So I know there's one buck in here for sure now, so I spooked him out today. It's only a matter of time till I get them on camera. It might take a few days to settle down in this area. Here's that opening. You can see this power line, and I set up the camera trail coming right over there, and he bolted off up in here. So I walked across the opening where the deer just ran off into, and this is kind of giving you the feel of what's going on in here. Bunch of rocks. I'm sure there's a few spots where they can bed. I'm not seeing any sign in here at all. That opening, there's one tree that I can possibly use for a stand. It'd be more of an observation sit for bow, because this place is bow only. It'd be great for gun, but obviously no guns allowed. But really, this is kind of what we're working with on this side. You got one little trail kind of walking parallel to that opening, and I would assume they'd be bedding right on that opening. They'd be bedding on a west wind on here, because I'm going south right now. I do know there's one other guy that hunts this area, and I wonder if he left his tree stand up. You got a road up there, and his tree stand was up there just a little bit. But like I said, this is what we're working with. Super hot day today. I know I said in the beginning that we had a cold front come through, so it's about low 70s right now, which, like I said, that's a delicacy for end of July in Missouri. It's hot. It's been really hot. Here's that trail I was talking about. You know, it kind of veers off into all of these little openings, and a few oak trees in here. Kind of walking down this trail here. I know there's not a trail up there, the road's right up there. So this is the predominant highway in here. See, a bunch of these trees were touched from years prior. Historical rub. Here's another historical rub. Look at that thing. Eating up. So they're coming through here. And rocky. So a possible bed right here. You got an opening kind of up against a fallen tree. Yeah, so this is the opening. This is the tree right here that I saddle hunted out of. I remember that because I was debating whether or not to get into this one. It's got a little open area here. Of course, the ground's been so dry, not much for tracks. But I'm gonna make my way down into the field where the corn is right now. It seems to be like there's corn in there. And that field should be holding some moisture, so we should get some stuff for tracks. I know they're in there at night eating that corn. But it's just tapering off here. Nothing up there really, so. Alright, so I'm down here by the field. I actually scouted that whole bowl, that whole ridge. Didn't see much for sign. Saw some old poop, but came across here. You guys have seen me in here before. This is the bottom. You got some like private right over there, and you got this hillside coming right here. Look at this size bed right here. Pretty decent bed. Pretty big, I should say. Been pretty used. So you got the field right over there. It smells like cow crap. I know this property doesn't have any cows, but it smells like cow dung. So we'll find out. I don't think there's any cows in here, but it smells like them. But this bottom right here is just all overgrown grass, all that. Kind of following a faint trail that I followed before. It looked like a bunny. And here's where that trail used to go. Right up here. Yep. What do we know? Right on top of this little hill right here, you got a bed. And old rub. Yep. All the grass is matted down, so it's definitely a bed right on top. There's no trail in here like there was last year. Old crap. Gonna continue in this way. Possibly an older bed. Doesn't look too used. But I know they're walking right in through here. Over where I really want to check is down there. That's where most of the deer were coming from. And it looks like they have corn in here this year. Yep. This is going to be a hot spot here in a couple months. So, now that we got corn in here, as far as I can see, the ground of course is super dry, but I can see some, I can make out some prints in here. It's a pretty decent print right there. 3, that's a 4-finger print. You got one right there, another one right there. They were walking in through here when it was wet. Of course that could have been a couple weeks by now. We haven't had rain for a couple weeks. Tracks seem pretty decent in here, and there's plenty of them in here. So when they go to harvest this corn, depending on what kind of harvester they use, it's gonna be a lot of corn laying around. So we're gonna get a bunch of deer in here, and raccoons and everything else. You got, it's like doe tracks, smaller, could be smaller buck. Now that seems like a pretty decent track. That's got to be that same deer. You got his hoof. I forgot what these things were called. I bet you they'd be bedding in the corn too. So right along this corn, you got kind of this little opening area. Of course, this is going to get harvested here within the next month or so, maybe a little bit more. I don't think the corn is as tall as it should be, and the reason being is we haven't had that great of rain this summer. We're in a drought, so I feel like the corn would be higher. It's higher than me right now, but it should be higher, I think. I'm not a corn expert, but you got this little opening right here. You got this one solid tree. A couple years ago, there was a tree stand in here. A couple of these limbs are in the way, but I think this could be one of the trees I could use here come early season. I'll come back here and see how they harvest it, but it's a decent tree with kind of decent opening on it. I might double check it just to make sure. Yeah, that's got to be my only chance to hunt this spot right here. There was a tree stand in there a couple of years ago, so actually probably 3 years ago now. So if some older bucks are still alive, they could be educated on that tree, but I don't know for sure. I made my way all the way to the back end of this property, walked all along that corn. The corn's got a lot of tracks in it, so there's plenty of deer in here. Just figuring out where they're bedding. This is that ridge that goes up to that private. There's a company over here, some sort of construction company or something. But on the other side is private, and you got this slope going down to the corn and the road over there. And you got prehistoric rubs over here. And the grass down here is kind of matted down, so this could be doe bedding, just because it's matted down in really random areas. Not somewhere a buck would particularly like to bed, but there's just kind of faint trails all through here, nothing too heavy. Most of the trails were in that corn where the tracks are, but I'm just kind of making my way through this thick stuff, trying to see if I can't pick up on anything. You got a little faint trail going across over there, but it just gets super thick, you know. Look what I'm walking through, you know. It's just low river bottom type stuff. Most of the sign in here is being made at night. Guarantee it. There's a few beds that I caught on. I showed you guys earlier. See right there, it's kind of an open little grass area. Where the sun is shining through, it's making the grass grow, but it is matted down, so they could be eating that. Possibly bedding in there. You can see this little river bottom coming through here. And it goes back out to the corn. All of these faint trails that I see in here, they're all leading to the corn. Obviously that's where deer are gonna like to be, is in that corn. But this huge hill kind of goes up to that construction company. See, I just made it out to this corn. Some trails coming in over here. This tree over here. Ideally, this would be a good spot to maybe set up along this when they harvest this. Get deer crossing along this. Has to be the right wind though. But it's separated by these tree lines. The hard part is, probably the hard part about it is access and getting a tree to fit a tree stand in here. A lot of these trees are just overgrown. There's nowhere to put a tree stand. So it's almost like possible ground hunting in here.